I want systems, but I have nowhere to start, this is absolutely for you. This is where you start. I don't think people realize how much manual labor and effort this is taking. Sometimes things get missed if they are not automated, if they are not streamlined, if there's not a system behind them. And it's just so time consuming when you can just create a system and just does it for you all of the time. Please do this. It is going to help to funnel everyone to the same pathway so that there's not people missing steps. Hey coach, Xenia Wood here, and this is the Swift Coaches Academy podcast, created for service-based business owners who are ambitious enough to break free from the forever hustle and create scalable businesses that truly make an impact while also giving us freedom. With more than a decade of experience, we're not here to waste your time on theory. Instead, just sharing what works and what doesn't to help you get clear as fuck on your next move and show you exactly how to implement the systems and strategies that you need to scale with confidence. Hey coach. Today's life update is that me and my partner, are planning to move to the Gold Coast, which we are so excited about. And it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for ages and we've delayed it and pushed it back a couple of times due to certain events and other things that we're doing coming up. But we are finally making the move. And as a result of this, I am going to need to do something with my property that I live in and own. And so what I'm planning to do, and this might sound crazy to some, but I'm planning to self-manage this property. And I currently have two properties. Both are managed by property managers. One's in Perth and one's also in Brisbane. But I don't live in that other one. And so the one that I do live in Brisbane is the one that I'm going to be looking to self-manage. So there's a couple of reasons for this. I want to rent it out room by room as opposed to the full house because I can get a higher return off of that. And I've been using flatmates and on that for, probably the better part of like 7 years now. And so I know that system really well. And the reason I decided to do it this way as opposed to property manager is because I've had a property manager for since 2022 now for my other property in Brisbane. And so I've seen how that system works. And I decided that I'm just going to give this a crack. Like worst case scenario, what happens is it doesn't go so well or I need support and I just end up getting a property manager anyway. But the costs of a property manager, I think that considering it's going to be only an hour from home, if anything does go wrong and I need to come and view the place, is fine. And also all our family lives in Brisbane anyway. So we're kind of going to be back and forth between Brisbane and the Gold Coast a fair bit anyway. And so as a systems girl, I have gotten like a ton of info off of the RTA, like the Queensland Rental Association website, and what my obligations are as a landlord, which I really am already doing for the property that I live in anyway. And then it's just about like staying on top of everything, getting like leases sorted and whatnot. So I have gone in and actually used ClickUp, which is the business system that I use for my business to help like automate and streamline all of the activities and how frequently they need to happen in my business. So like whether they're daily, weekly, and they have recurring tasks set up. And so I've just done another little like category for property management. And so I'm going to trial it with this property, see how we go. And I've got everything listed out in terms of like what I need to do on like a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis, ticking off all the compliance, everything. And it and any start of tenancy, any end of tenancy, any like tenant issues or whatever. And so we're going to see how we go. So if you have done this before, or if you have any, insights for me that I should be looking out for or cautious of or whatnot, then I would love to hear from you. Please DM me over on Instagram at Xenia Wood Official because fingers crossed this goes really well. And I'm excited because if this one goes well, then I'm going to do it for my other Brisbane property as well, because that is going to keep more money in my pocket for these as well. And there's a cool little side project that I'm excited to embark on as effectively like another business, which is cool. So with that being said, and me being someone who's really over the years learnt a lot about how to best automate and systemize things for my business and now my personal life, I wanted to touch on the 3 systems we set up for every coach who joins the Swift Biz Academy. And what we do for these systems so that people are actually able to scale in a way that is going to be sustainable and doesn't break them and their systems don't break. And we have all of these things set up and we support them to get this integrated in their business so that they can actually go out and scale and like turn fuel on the fire when it comes to like lead generation. And this could be like advertising or partnerships or sort of collaborations where you're going to get an influx of leads or clients. You want to have the infrastructure behind it to service that, because I have some friends who do this, and before having any of the infrastructure, they got like 100 leads at one, or over 100 leads at one presentation that they did, and were just like swamped with so much back-end admin that just did not have to be there. So this is how you can have everything in place before that happens so that you can actually scale with confidence, and that you are not just leaking your time and energy doing like 700 5-minute tasks that just are brain numbing and not necessary when you have these three systems in place. So the reason that I thought that this would be a great topic to speak into on the podcast today is it's something that I hear a lot. And in the last probably like 2 weeks, I've had 2 of our scale students in our signature Scale Academy program who are making at least 6 figures and looking to and are scaling come to me and say like, I need more systems. And often what follows that is, okay, well, what do you need? And they're like, oh, I just want systems. And I think it's because it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment and everyone wants automations and systems and they want to scale or these are kind of sexy terms, but you need to know what you're doing it for and why you're doing it as well. Because not everyone needs to scale to the moon and just continue to get like so much clients and infrastructure and all the staff and things that come with scaling. And my personal preference is to have a lean team and have your systems to help you be more efficient without having to have a ton of staff or manual labor with this work. So we need to first understand the systems that are going to be the most effective for you. And that can be different for everyone, but I do find that these are the first 3 systems that most coaches need in place before they add fuel to the fire when it comes to leads and actually getting this shit done on autopilot and having people come in to them, sign up, continue working with them, onboarded, all these things without all of the manual effort that it requires per client that you kind of have time for when you're, growing to 6 figures because you have more time than you do money. Okay. So a couple things first that we do not want to systemize, in my opinion, is particularly sales calls. Okay. I know that a lot of people may be like, oh, but I would love to just have a page and people just click and they just buy now. That is great if you are an e-commerce brand. But if you are selling high ticket and particularly coaching, and particularly when it's a personal interaction or relationship that is being formed, people generally want to have a conversation with you, and scaling that too soon can really, really hurt your business. But B, if you're doing high ticket, so this I'll classify as over like $1,000 or $2,000 as a product or for the program, or let's say that your program lasts for 12 weeks and it's $100 a week, or if it's some sort of ongoing recurring subscription where people are paying like a decent amount per week, then I would not recommend that. And that is because you are probably going to burn through a lot of your marketing spend or your time and effort energy if you're not doing it through paid advertising channels to actually get people into that program, and you'll probably have less people sign up, to be fair. So there's a reason why sales calls happen for higher ticket programs. It's because people want to speak to a human and they want to understand it. They want to make sure it's right for them, and rightfully so. Yeah. So this is not something that I recommend people starting to scale will systemize initially, or just create, a landing page and people will just buy from that. There are other ways that we can leverage it in terms of like masterclasses and paid partnerships where you actually spend some time with these people first and then you offer something like that. But still, when it comes to like anything above sort of even $3,500, I would be saying definitely wanting some sales calls with that. Okay. So the first thing that we want to keep in mind is that when you are scaling, you need to know what you're doing it for. Are you trying to get time back? Are you trying to increase your money? that you're having? Or are you trying to leverage your expertise? And to be fair, it could all be and is likely going to be all three of those. But these systems are going to save you time, they're going to save you money, and they're also going to improve the client experience. I think that that's really important to state, because a lot of people fear that when they systemize or automate things, they're like, oh, well, but people don't want to speak to a person. And in some circumstances, like in the high ticket sales, yes, absolutely, they will likely, not always, but likely want to speak to a person. However, if you have ever, I don't know about you, but I don't book a doctor's appointment unless I can book it online. Yeah. Again, not a high ticket thing, but for the most part, like once I'm in a coaching program, I want to start immediately. I don't want to have to be waiting around and wait 3 days to get like a program. And so like if I'm starting with someone, I want to know what to do right then and there. And if that can be like automated inbox that land in my email inbox, and I can just get started and start digesting the content or start doing the program or whatever it is, then I'm going to be far more excited and likely to stay on for longer than if I'm going to have to wait, 3, 5, 7 days between when I sign up and when I actually can get started with anything. So if if you're doing coaching and let's say you're in person in the gym, yeah, you may not be able to do their first session for 7 days, but what can you give them in the meantime so they can be set up? Can you give them, if you're giving them meal plans, can you give them like how to download the apps or how to log in? And can that be automated? So immediately they're like, fuck yes, I purchase and now I get some of the thing. Yeah. So that I am progressing and I feel like I'm moving forward, even though I know that I can't have my first session for, say, a week. Okay. The other thing is, I don't think people realize how much manual labor and effort this is taking you. And it may just be 5 minutes here or there, but sometimes things get missed if they are not automated, if they are not streamlined, if there's not a system behind them. So even though you're like, oh, it's so great, or like, let's say, I don't know, you get to a point where you're at full capacity and you don't have time for onboarding anymore, as an example, and then you want to give it off to someone else, but you don't have a system in place. It's just in your head and you know all the things that need to happen, but there's like 7 different things. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I just know they need to take the payment and sign the contract and tell them where the gym is and how, what to bring to the appointment and whatever the things are. Yeah. So writing this shit down in order to create those systems can be really helpful too. Okay, so we're going to start with system number 1. Now, this is what we call the lead to sale system. So this is from people, we call it a hand raiser, when they basically like reach out, they say, hey, I'm interested, or they comment a word on your Instagram, or they're engaging with you in your stories, or whatever it is, from I'm interested all the way through to I'm now a paying client. We automate that as a lead to sale system. So most coaches have like so many different avenues, which is great, as to where the client comes in from. So for me, it could be you listen to this podcast and then you go, fuck yes, I vibe with Xenia. This sounds great. I want to work with her. You jump into the show notes, you go to the link, takes you to the landing page, you sign up, things like that. Other ways, it could be an Instagram message, could be a phone call. It could have your phone number, could be an email. There's so many different avenues. What I find most coaches don't do is then streamline and funnel these people from that to the exact same spot, regardless of who they are. They usually go and then manually book them into their calendar or whatever it is. But if you can take people from wherever they are in your like lead pipeline and funnel them all to the same spot, then their whole customer experience from lead to sale is exactly the same. It's replicated and you know what is and isn't working. So that is really important. Without having a lead to sale system in place, you're just crossing your fingers and hoping that people who say that they're interested are also going to find your website or find your booking link and book an appointment, and there's going to be a time available and they're going to make that a priority, and then they're going to come to that appointment. There's so many times when they could drop off in that process and forget, or it's lunchtime, or they accidentally close the browser and then they just don't have it there in front of them, and then you lose them. Yeah. So this lead to sale system not only funnels people to follow the same pathway, but while it does that, it also helps to re-engage people who maybe just did the first step of the funnel, but didn't get all the way to booking a call with you. Or maybe they booked a call with you and they didn't show up. Or maybe they showed up and then they didn't sign up on the spot. So all of these things kind of like re-engages people and brings them back into whatever step they were in the funnel. Basically like sends them automated messages and emails. So SMS and emails. And you can also do this through like DMs that re-engages them and says, hey, I see that you, let's say, said you were interested, but you didn't book a call yet. Yeah. And so it's prompting them again to the next step in their journey. And we help our students set this up inside their businesses so that they have this happening for them and they're not manually having to be like, fuck, I swear there was a client that was, or a lead that came in and I can't remember what happened, or, you have to manually follow up every day. And then you've also got all of the other work that you're doing. And it's just so time consuming when you can just create a system and just does it for you all of the time. So, smart business owners recognize how much not only like time, effort, energy, but like mentally draining this can be when they could just be spending time like in deep work, deep focus, doing far more impactful activities than like trying to get someone who forgot to book a call. Yeah. It also just makes it easier for your ideal clients to take that next step with you because you're prompting them. Yeah. And they're also probably watching you at this stage, right? Like I have literally gone through like marketing agencies before in particular. I can remember. And I would literally fill in the first part of the application that said like, fill out your contact details and intentionally not book a call so that I could see what their follow-up process was like. Yeah. And so your clients, while they may not do that specifically, because I'm, looking at it from a business lens and I'm using it as feedback and data for me to help teach and coach better, what they may do is your clients may just forget, right? But they remember the people who follow up with them. Yeah. And it's so great if they turn around and say, actually, I'm not interested anymore. But that means that you can stop following up with them as opposed to being like, did they or did they not? And forgetting and not knowing where they are or following up every single day. Like you want someone to get off the fence is the goal of between the lead and sale process. You want them to say yes or no and just be certain on it and get off this maybe ground. Yeah. So that you can move them through that funnel and the people who you are going to get to support, you support them sooner and better and they get great results with you. Okay. And the other people also get more value along that process, which we'll talk about in that second system, so that they are more likely to go through with the sale with you, which leads into the second system. So our first system being our lead to sales system. Our second system is our lead nurture system. So these two kind of like work hand in hand. And while our lead to sales system is helping people nudge them to do the next step in the process between I've put my hand up or I've said I'm interested all the way through to like I'm now a paying client. So this includes like whether they say yes or not on the call, whether they make their payment, whether they sign the contract, whether they've booked the call, all those sorts of things. But the lead nurture system is a series of communications, which typically, again, are going to be both message and email that are taking someone from, I don't know who the hell you are, all the way through to, holy fuck, I need to work with you immediately. Yeah, take my money. So basically, it's helping that lead to sale process happen smoother. It's not just nudging them and saying, hey, book the call, hey, do the thing. It's also saying, this is why. Or here's a piece of value on, I don't know, let's say you're a nutritionist. You could say something like, did you know that, you need to be getting this much, like 2 grams per kilogram of body mass in protein to be able to hit your protein goals, to be able to, increase your muscle mass in the gym. And so just little things like that, that's continuing to drip feed them along the way. Yes, value, but at the same time, our lead to nurture sequence, at the same time as adding value and showing them that you are the expert and you have the knowledge and you can help them. And remember, you don't have to be like the expert. You just have to be a couple steps ahead of them in their journey. Yep. So on top of doing that and adding value and showing that you are an expert, you are also helping them see themselves in either your journey or your client's journey. So you're teaching them about who you are, about why you created this business, about the story behind your passion and why this is so important to you, and the results that you get with people, so that they can go, oh wow, like this person really cares. I resonate with their story, and they get great results with other people. So it's also sprinkling in like social proof, testimonials, things that are going to help to increase the likelihood and certainty that they have with you, to then be able to sign up confidently with getting great results inside your program. So that's our second system, our lead nurture system. And with this system in particular, it's going to, alongside the lead to sales system, it's going to take the pressure off of you manually following up all of the time. I do still recommend there is a piece of manual follow-up for people who are needing that extra nudge. However, if let's say 30%, 50% of the people, you do not need to manually follow up anymore because they've just seen enough social proof and they just resonate enough with your story and they really feel that you are the coach for them, then it's so much easier for them to just automatically book into your calendar without you having to lift a finger. You lift your finger once and you set up your lead nurture system, and then it is done. Yeah, you may want to tweak, you may want to iterate, you may want to change what is in there over time once you have data and you can see what isn't working, and you can look at things in terms of like the click-through rate of, which means the people who open your emails and then open or click on like a button or a hyperlink in your email. So you can see, hey, like let's say for example you had a 10 email sequence and your fourth email, there were like, I don't know, way more clicks on that email in the hyperlink than any other email in your system. So what you could do with that information is be like, well, what does this one have that the others don't? And how can I perhaps add more things that resonate with them like this one does in the other emails, so we continue to get more people clicking on these links and booking the calls or doing whatever that link says that you want them to take that next step with. Okay. The third system is our onboarding system. Now, this is the one that's probably the most unique to each business. And that is because you will have your own different apps that you use, softwares that you integrate, way to onboard people, things that they need to know in terms of, where they need to be. Are there calls or are there appointments they need to attend? How do they get to these? What are their first steps? What should they be expecting throughout the time period that they're working with you? And something that Layla Hormozi has said is that the onboarding experience can really heavily sway how likely someone is to re-sign with you. So let's say, for example, and this, sorry, is the first, typically it's a 48-hour window from the moment that they make their first payment with you or commit to you with whatever their next step is from saying yes to working with you, right? So if you are going from, okay, they've said yes, and then you're going to wait 4 days to send them their onboarding email or their contract or whatever, you have really shot yourself in the foot in terms of the re-sign rate, even if they don't re-sign with you for another 12 weeks. Yeah, because they remember what it was like immediately after paying you or immediately after saying yes to working with you. And you want to immediately reinforce how fucking valuable this is by giving them value as soon as that happens, right? So you're not necessarily going to help someone lose weight the second that they pay you the money, right? Like you're going to have to, this happens over time, but what can you give them that is valuable? For example, like the initial stages of some habits that they could start to integrate in their life that is going to set them up for success, or the apps they need to download, like I mentioned before, that are going to set them up for success as well. So when it comes to our onboarding system, you're going to need to create a list of all the things that you need to do. And so I guess the rough and dirty version of this is like just create a list and make sure it's a checklist and have it as like a template that you can reuse for every new client. But ideally, you use things like make.com or Zapier, which are like AI integration, API integrators, which basically means that like if you have an app over here and then you have like a Google Sheet over there, you can basically go, when someone, I don't know, makes a payment in Stripe, I want you to automatically add that customer to this app over here. And when someone gets added to this app over here, I want them to then be automatically added into the Google Sheet over there. And so all of that gets to happen without you lifting a finger because you have done the first step in the process, and then the automation kicks in and does the rest for you. It could then send them an email that just says like, hey, these are things you need to sign up with, or whatever it is for you in your business. You probably know all of this, but if you don't have it written down and it's not really clear, and I mean clear to the point where like a 12-year-old could look at it and execute that, then it's not clear enough. And it is not something you're going to be able to outsource or turn into an automation because you don't understand it well enough yet. Yeah. So remembering the first 48 hours for our onboarding system, system 3, is the most important in deciding whether these clients will stay on or re-sign with you. And it's going to set the tone as well, therefore, for not just retention of that client, but referrals that they may send you and raving reviews. So people are more likely to buy more immediately after they've paid you. So immediately after they've paid you, you could even send them another email being like, oh, and there's this other upgrade if you wanted to pay for this too. Or you could send them in that moment or later down the track in your client journey. You could send them an email that's like, hey, do you know a friend? And I remember that this used to happen all the time when I worked at Good Life, where as soon as someone signed up, they would say, amazing, we have a towel and water bottle here for you as well. If you have 3 friends' names and phone numbers that you can put on this piece of paper, then this towel and water bottle is yours as a thank you for signing up and, introducing your friends to our club as well. And they would go as far as to physically put the towel and water bottle next to the piece of paper that they had to fill out. So people almost felt obligated to write people's names and numbers on that piece of paper because they'd basically already handed it to them. Of course, they could take that away, but if you think about psychology and the loss aversion bias, we will do more to avoid losing things than we will to try and gain new things. So if we've already feel like we've gained a water bottle and a towel, right, that's valued at, I don't know, $55, then we will likely be like, fuck, okay, now because they've given this to me, I'm going to write the name and contact details on the water bottle. And not on the water bottle, on the piece of paper. And I actually can't remember if they gave, this could have worked really well if they did this. If they gave the towel and water bottle as a gift and then said, hey, if you know of anyone, here's a piece of paper, write 3 names on it. Or if they said you only get a towel and water bottle if you do this. Either of those could work quite well using the laws of psychology. But I digress. I mean, you could try and do that with your business as well, right? And be like, hey, if you know anyone, you get, $100 credit or an additional session or something like that thrown in for anyone you refer that ends up signing up with us. Yeah. The issue here is that most coaches at the moment manually do this. And not only do they manually do this, but they wait, and it's often 12, 24, 48 hours plus after the client has left the room. And I get it. Like if I was a coach too on the gym floor and like you don't have a ton of time in that session. So even more reason for you to need to automate this, even if it's a 15-minute process. Because if you're looking to scale and bring on more people and you want to have less mistakes and make sure that things like payments get set up properly, which is really fucking important. I've seen people who fuck this up, myself included, then having a system that just does this for you on autopilot once the first step gets triggered in your system is so, so powerful. And we help our clients set this up as well. So just as a wrap up for today's episode, the 3 systems that we get our coaches to set up with them when they're looking to scale, the first 3 systems are, number 1, the lead to sale system, which is taking our clients from uninterested to paying. Number 2 is our lead nurture system, which is increasing their know, like, and trust of you through your story and through social proof. And number 3 is the onboarding system. So that is the first 48 hours where we are automating what needs to happen so that they can get a great result and feel fucking awesome for choosing to say yes and start to work with you. Now, these 3 systems are just the foundations of scaling. There are so many more that we walk our clients through as we go through, but these are the first 3 that I believe are the most important to start with. If you are like, I want systems, but I have nowhere to start, this is absolutely for you. This is where you start. Yeah. Please do this before you go to like potentially, create something new or hire more people or, throw money at ads, because this is going to give you more bandwidth. It is going to help to funnel everyone to the same pathway so that there's not people missing steps and maybe they miss part of your story if you don't do the lead nurture sequence, and then they're not as invested when they sign up, and maybe they're less likely to re-sign if this isn't in place. And it's also going to help give you just like space to think and space to breathe and space to be able to actually scale your business, as opposed to just adding and piling more and more on top and still feeling like yes, you're making your more money, but you're also fucking a duck that's pedaling so fucking hard under the surface that can't last forever. So I hope this has helped you. Let me know how you go with it. If you have any questions, as always, you can send me a DM over on Instagram at ZeniaWoodOfficial. And until next time, move swiftly. Hey, coach, before you go, the reason I do this every single week and the reason we've been able to surpass 100 episodes is because of you. So thank you. We're on a mission towards never seeing another coach leave the industry because they didn't have the skills or the confidence to scale. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that before you forget. I read every single one of the comments and share as many as I can. So if you found this episode valuable, sharing it with a friend who might be able to benefit from hearing it would honestly mean so much to me. Until next time, and in whatever you do, move swiftly.